So our speaker today for this week's installment of the Brock Faulkner Entrepreneurship and Ag Lecture Series is Mike Watts. Mike is a 98 grad of the department in AGSM. You all read the bio I sent out on Mike. I wrote a reference letter for Mike for his first job at CenterPoint Energy back in the day, and I told him with a last name like Watts, he had to work in the electric industry for his career. So little did I know. It shows you know what we know, in this type of thing. I remember Mike in 325. Some of those folks are in 325. Your wiring board worked.
Yeah, it did. Yeah.
So anyway, that's always one of those things that new students or students right now and former students can commiserate on, is the wiring board, the exercise and that type of thing. So we're just starting that Friday, tomorrow morning, for the Friday morning lab. So Mike has been a prolific entrepreneur. He's one of those entrepreneurs. I've told you a little bit about some of the other speakers in terms of a description. Mike finds products and brings them to market. Some of you have asked, when are we going to talk about those folks, or when are we going to have those folks come in? We've had some people that, were home builders, were powder coating, doing things like that. So here we have now find the product, bring it to market, figure out how to position it and all those things. So we are very proud to welcome Mike back. Mike was our kickoff speaker for this class last year, the series. So Mike, welcome back.
Thanks so much, Greg. All right, well, great introduction. Thank you so much. And it's always good to be back here in the hall, the hallowed halls. Again, I'm an AGSM graduate from back in the 1900s. I beat you just by a couple of years. 1998 graduate. I was at class of 97. So got that victory lap year in. But life's been a wild journey for the last over 20 years now. From life in corporate America, right out of school, and we'll talk about that. But I spent 8 years in corporate America before I escaped the cubicle, started my own full-time career as an entrepreneur. But there was a bit of an overlap phase we'll talk about when I had side hustles going on. And since then, it's been amazing. I have 3 consecutive multi-million-dollar startups. The latest one now, we manufacture the LoveHandle, which you'll all get one. At the end, it's a low-profile smartphone grip that's on track to take over the pop sockets dominance at retail. But we make all our stuff in the USA, and we're very, very proud of that. 32 full-time employees, and we just launched in Walmart and Academy Sports. So really exciting stuff going on right now with that brand. But I thought I would just dive right in to tell you who Mike Watts is, and I throw this out. I'm the least known person, maybe other than the security guard in this picture. This was in last year around this time. When I was in Vegas, I did a deal with Daymond John. I wasn't ever on Shark Tank, though I thought I was gonna be on Shark Tank because I'm pretty good at accomplishing goals. And turns out that they turned me down twice on the tank, but then Daymond got one of my products, fell in love with it. He called me, we made a deal. I simplified a bit, but that's essentially what happened. And made a deal with him. I'm out to dinner with Daymond here. Mark Cuban comes, sits next to me for dinner. Then we all end up hanging out at Jamie Foxx's mansion. So wild night, only possible through the power of entrepreneurship. And I'm going to talk a lot about that and how it's a different path. It's different than the rest of the world. It's really pioneering, but it opens up a lot of cool possibilities for lifestyle, for whatever it is that you want to see and accomplish into during your life. Here's some of the accolades, if you will. Looks like I messed up a little bit here on the bottom, but I'm a 98 graduate here, AGSM. 6 companies I've started since the beginning, and we're gonna go through each one of those. 2-time winner of the Aggie 100. One of them was number 6 finish, which I was really proud of. And both of those are for this product here that we brought to market, which was my first full-time entrepreneurial gig. Winner of the Inc. 5000 3 different times, and Fortune 5000 as well. Partner of Daymond John, and then these are some of the places we've sold our products. Even today, we're selling our products at these locations. But I wanted to kind of take us all the way back, because I think that some people have a deep-seated entrepreneurial blood. Others have attributes in their life that aren't always looked on as positive. Me, I get bored very easily, right? If you find that you can relate to that, then maybe we can get along, because that's me. If I'm not learning something, or if I'm doing the same thing over and over again, you're gonna probably get bored with it. I think my track record shows that. I'm gonna go over these briefly, but from the time I was in middle school selling blow pops and 9-laters out of my backpack, to the time that I was in 8th grade and I started my mowing business, to get a little, I always like to have a little jingle in my pocket, right? You know, nothing wrong with that. And then eventually landed my dream job selling baseball cards at the local mall when they opened up the baseball card shop. Now, persistence was the lesson there, because I knew I wanted to work there because it's baseball cards, and I was already hanging out at baseball card shops anyway. It's at the mall, right? They got Chick-fil-A, and they got girls at the mall, right? So I had my dream job, and I had to go back every single day for 2 weeks before the guy would hire me. I was his first hire. Every single day I had my mom drop me off there so I could go ask for this job. And finally, he was hungry. He said, okay, we'll see, watch the shop, I'm gonna go get a sandwich. And the next thing you know, I'm his first employee. He then bought a Athlete's Foot franchise, so at 16, I'm manager of the Athlete's Foot in the local mall. And every employee is older than me, so I really had the opportunity to start to learn how to sell, how to manage people, how to make mistakes, how to earn commission. You know, a lot of manage inventory, all those sorts of things. Really great experience there. But then I got bored. I was at the mall, listening to too many Mariah Carey songs, and ate one too many Chick-fil-A sandwiches, and said I want to try something new. Now my friends worked out in the chemical plants. I grew up down in Angleton, Lake Jackson area, south of Houston. And Dow Chemical's really big down there. Pretty much everybody works for Dow or has somebody that works for Dow. And so I went and worked as a scaffold builder, and then later on as an electrician's helper out in the plants. And it made me appreciate not wanting to work out in the plants ever again in my life. I actually took a piece of wire from the electrician's helper job, a big piece of 500 cable, and set it on my desk at school. That was one of my paperweight. So I remembered that do your homework or you're gonna end up back there pulling wire. And so if you find something like that in life that you can point back to, it's really important that you get to the bottom so you know where the bottom's at. Humble yourself, be willing to do the worst job, volunteer for the worst job, because it's gonna give you strength that you're gonna need later in life. I strongly believe. From there, my parents started a party business, and so on the weekends and summers, I got to go be a DJ at high school events, at weddings and parties of all kinds, reunions. That was a lot of fun. And then living here in College Station, I was managed the apartments that I lived in. Well, to get a cheaper rent, I told them I would do the flower beds and things like that, and so I worked on site there, did that. Apartment complex is still there, but they changed it. It was over on Holloman. And then I worked at Little Caesars, pizza delivery. I used to deliver to all the dorms out here. I always wanted to wear the toga, you know, with the, I don't know if y'all remember the ad right there, but the guy would show up, pizza with the toga, but they never would let me do it. I always thought that would have been fun. I got better tips. Then I worked at service merchandise out at the mall, back at Post Oak Mall here, back when there was service merchandise. And then this was a kind of a unique job as a tunnel digger. It was actually a 6-week period between Christmas and the next semester that I started working out there. And it was actually underneath Sabisa, or the Commons, I'm sorry, underneath the Commons. They had a garbage disposal line that had clogged years prior. And so when all the students went home, me and a bunch of ex-cons, I didn't know, but that's who was there working, because that's the only people that take this job. Punched a hole in the floor of the Commons cafeteria, went down and dug underneath there and dug around until we found this busted pipe. Had to go in and fix it and then fill it back in and get our way out of there. Worst job I've ever had in my life. Roaches crawling down my shirt. It was nasty, smelly, but at least the pay was terrible. It was one of those really humbling things where I can now sit across from any one of my employees and say, I've had a worse job than you. I guarantee it. I promise. That was bad. But again, it gave me strength that I needed going forward. Then eventually, because my parents were starting their party rental business, they wanted a little advice. How do we run this thing? We don't really know what we're doing. And so I started working at the party rental business over in Bryan and learned how their business worked. Wrote a business plan for my parents, gave it to them, and they have a multi-million-dollar party rental business today. all because of that business plan, I'm sure. And then I worked as the recycling coordinator for the city of College Station. It's my last. I wasn't really focused my degree in environmental. I thought I was going to save the world. I'm saving phones instead, but you know, still part of the world. But I worked out there, and we delivered recycling bags. We did education events, and managed that program out there. Did tours of the landfill, tours of the composting facility, all that stuff. So that's my 13 jobs that I had. And I only throw this up here because I think that this provided the type of experiences in my life that I needed going forward, because I think a successful entrepreneur needs to be very wide and shallow. You need to know a lot about, or a little about a lot, right? Rather than a whole lot about brain surgery or whatever, right? So I encourage you to try a lot of different things, do a lot of different things, because every single one you're gonna learn from. And then I got my first real job thanks to the recommendation letter from Professor Stark.
I'm sure that's what did it.
I'm sure, yeah, right. Actually, I hired on as what they call a service consultant. They offered me $39,000 right out of the gates. So obviously I was rich because I didn't have any money in college, and all of a sudden I had this much money. One of the best things at this point in my life that I did was I listened to a professor, might have been you, don't know who, can't remember who. Somebody told me that when you accept this job offer, whatever they offer for savings plan, you'll have a chance to fill it out, max it out. Whatever the max is, fill it out. Because right now you don't make nothing. And so anything is gonna feel like more. So it's not gonna feel like much that you're missing out on anything. So our max was 16%. So I took 16% of my pay right when I started. The whole 8 years I worked there, 16% was gone. And they matched the first 10%, dollar for dollar. And for some years, good years, they would match $1.50 for every dollar. So I was able to build up a nest egg of a couple $100,000 over a period of time that later on I used loans against it to start businesses. And then eventually, this is not the most financially smart move that I ever did, but I cashed it all in to be able to buy my dream home, where we raised our kids out in the country, beautiful place. I keep waiting for the real owners to show up because there's no way I live there, but they haven't kicked me out yet. And it was all because of some great piece of advice. So I wanted to bring that up today because I think it's important, because you're gonna need some ammo. Whether you start a business or whether you have some other goal in life, you're gonna need some money. And starting early is key. Compound interest is real, it works. So start early and save as much as you can. So, the year 2000, Y2K, right? I don't remember this because you weren't here, but the world was gonna end, and all the computers were gonna go to zero, and then everything was gonna blow up. That didn't happen, but what did happen is my first son was born, Ethan. At the time, my wife and I were both going to school, or both working. She worked in an apartment complex. I worked at Centerpoint, and she bought me a copy of a book called Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Has anyone read that book? One in the back, all right? You'll see it, it'll be in a required reading at the end of this. But she gave me a copy of this book. It's a great book. It's actually listening to the audiobook on the way up here. And it talks about financial education. Because here in this university, you're gonna get a great education, guaranteed. You're gonna get a great education. You may or may not get a financial education. It's gonna teach you how money really works, and how trading time for money is only one way to make money, and not the best way to make money. You can do that, but over time, you're gonna want your money to be deployed, working for you, and whether you show up and punch a clock, or show up at the office or not, that you're gonna get some money coming in. That's really important. So she got me this book, and I was like, how can we make some extra money so that we can then start saving? Because now I have a kid to think about, which is a big motivator. So one day, if you ever have children, if you're blessed like that, it's gonna be an extra level of motivation for you. So for me it was, and we had a goal that we wanted her to be able to stay home with the kids, be a one-income family, not a two-income, send the kids to preschool kind of family. And so we started this business. And this is actually the last known package of it right here. It's called Rainsword. It wasn't called Rainsword, I named it. It was my first branding. And it actually started as just one single little pack here like this. And this is just a copolymer. It's a polyacrylamide, and it's a highly absorbing copolymer. So 1 tablespoon, which is this amount, will soak up a full gallon of water, and then slowly release it back to the environment, whether it's just into the air or in the soil. It would release it into the soil, hence the name soil moist that we use later, our competitor. But we started going to home and garden shows and selling this as a craft item, right? You can decorate your centerpiece with it, you can float candles on it, you can color it, do all kinds of cool stuff with it. And I found it through my parents, who I had gone to and said, hey, I want to make some extra money. Somebody had tried to sell this to them as a centerpiece for their party rental business. They said, well, maybe there's something to this stuff. I can get you a 50-pound bag for about $300. So I got a 50-pound bag, I started bagging it up, and I started learning lessons. And that's the point, is that you got to just get in the game at some point. I didn't really know if anybody would buy this stuff, but I took a gamble. I bought a $1,500 booth at the upcoming home and garden show. It looked like a wedding up in there because I had all this stuff from their shop. And I had like white pillars, white tablecloths, and then I had my little garden gel, right? And I started selling the first day for $3 a bag. And it was popular. Man, I was selling them all day long. People loved feeling it. I have a bowl out there. It's like Orbeez, if you know what Orbeez are. It feels like that. And people loved it. I realized at the end of the day, I only had like $400. So man, I did a lot of work for $400. I hadn't even paid for half the booth yet. So the next day I came back and I figured out if I stapled a bunch of them together, I made this label on Microsoft Word overnight that I could use that same conversation, tell somebody, okay, well here's a multi-bag, you need it in multiple bags, and it's $20 because it says so right there. And I'll give you a buy one, get one free for you today, the show. So now I went from $3 transaction with the same amount of words, same amount of effort, to a $20 transaction. The next day I ended up with over $2,000, right? So okay, now I'm on something. And then eventually I figured out that I could take some smaller crystals and then sell them in a 1-pound bag for gardening, like for a flower bed or whatever. $30 for that, but $15 for you guys. Okay, good deal. So I started to learn how to pitch value propositions, how to package things, how to bundle things. Really important lessons that came in very useful as I started bringing products to market later in life. Eventually I sold the business because I found some other products we'll talk about in a minute that were cooler and more fun and on trend, and more importantly, other people could sell them for me. Because this one, it took me to be there. I was the only one that had the passion and the hunger and for the money and for the sales. Everyone else that tried to get up there with the microphone and lights just didn't work. So I was only able to make money, again, trading time for money. I wanted to find a way to scale up. So I sold the business for like $3,500 to an old couple, and they went and traveled the world in their RV selling this show to show to show. And I don't know how long they did it or whatever, but they got a good deal. And I moved on to my next product, which were these two. I sort of started them simultaneously. This one is kind of the only picture I have. So back in the day, we didn't have digital cameras, so we don't have as many pictures as you guys do. But this is me in the Superdome. This was actually a year or two into the program. These are just little butterflies, dragonflies. You see the ladybug there, and we were just cute, fun stuff for the garden. Put the stake in the yard, the wind blows, it flaps around, right? This was early days. We're selling, I was buying them for 67 cents out of China. They come in cases of 72. And I would sell them 3 for $10, 7 for 20. Okay, so a great margin. And then I would always have wholesale available. You see at the bottom of the sign, you can't quite see it. It says wholesale available. And what I would do, people say, oh man, looks like you're making a lot of money over here. Well, how can I help? I was like, well, where do you live? Oh, I live in Baton Rouge. Okay, well, great. There's a Baton Rouge show that happens next spring. I can wholesale it to you. You can set up at your local show. And, I'll teach you how to do it. You can do it. Well, now instead of being able to only do shows where I was at, I could do scale out, right? I actually started putting ads in areas where there was big shows, the Philadelphia Flower Show. I would book a booth on Faith knowing I could go. And I started searching, asking family, adding the Craigslist or the Thrifty Nickel or whatever, to try to find somebody that would do it. And I would provide them all the product, wholesale. They would sell what they sell, and then give me back the cost of the booth and any product they didn't sell that they didn't want. And now I was able to be in 6, 7, 8 locations on the same weekend. And I would just cherry pick the shows. And so it taught me how to scale up, how to create win-win opportunities for people. give somebody a chance to make some money. At the same time, I can make some money too. So, yeah.
Do you have to pay for any rights to selling this stuff, selling those things, because you were involved in manufacturing of them?
Right, that's a great question. And just for the camera's sake, the question is, did I have to pay for any rights to sell it? And no is the answer. And that's a double-edged sword, right? So anybody could just, every single one of these had a little tag on it that said the name of the manufacturer, their website, their phone number, everything. So what do you think happened when I did this show and the next show? It's on the circuit. What do you think happened in the next show? Someone else was doing it right across from me. Somebody else selling the same stuff, exact same stuff. They just went and bought it. They probably paid a little bit more than me, but what are we in there? We're in a commodity price war. Nobody wins in the commodity price war except the consumer, but not me. And so it was very frustrating. It was this vicious cycle of constantly trying to get shows to give me an exclusive. I would try to write it in the contract, but they didn't really like doing that. So it's a challenge. And so that's why, and then the same thing with this product line. These are hand-carved wooden airplanes, cars, motorcycles, everything you can think of. Really cool items coming out of Vietnam. I was buying them for about $17. We sell them for $60. I would wholesale them for like $25. The problem, they're super fragile, they're super heavy, and I mean, they're wood. This thing weighs like 5 pounds. So you get a trailer full of these things and you drive around the country, you better have a big truck. And it was just problematic. I ended up selling these at home at the malls at Christmas time. I would get a little kiosk in the center of the mall and have all these laid out. But the problem was that most of the stuff in the kiosks is small because they can put it in drawers. This is big. So I had to not only rent the kiosk, but then I had to rent some storage space down the mall. What does that mean? Somebody wants an F-16? I got to run down the back hall, drive the shopping cart I had back there. I got really good at that. It's kind of fun. But I'd go get it and come back and then make the sale. And so it always had these trouble, and I got really good at super glue, fixing things. But each one of these businesses was good at the time. It was great learning, pretty good cash flow, kept me busy. Didn't really get rich, but this one was pretty good because I was able to scale out in the springtime and do pretty good. But again, same thing with this one. These were not hard to find. This was even pre-internet. The internet was there, but not as prolific as it is today. People would find these, and then they would set up another kiosk right down the mall. So it was very frustrating to constantly be in this battle. So in 2006, I sold that company, but not before in 2005. Now, keep this in mind. I'm doing all of this work while I had my full-time job at Centerpoint. Okay, I had my full-time job every single weekend, every single sick day, vacation day, every day I could squeeze out. I'm working every evening. My wife and I are bagging these up, right? She's spending her time at home getting stuff ready for my show. So I would work till Thursday, maybe midday Friday. Everything would be loaded in the trailer. She would have it all ready. I would climb in. She would hop in with our 2-year-old at the time, a 3-year-old, and he would be sitting under the table. I'm out there pitching, and she's over there closing deals, running credit cards. I mean, that's what we did. We hustled, and that is the common denominator. You have to be willing to work, and if you want to get ahead, work harder than everyone else around you. That's the ultimate key. But back to the story. Here we are, kind of frustrated, and then I'm at a home and garden show, and I find this product right here. A guy from New Orleans has invented what turns out is the world's greatest weed whacker head. If anybody's ever used a weed eater, you gotta wind the line on, feed it out, never really works right? And the lines are constantly breaking off. Well, he designed this one that had a pivoting point on the top. Just take a piece of line and put it through in a V, it's real quick to load, it's called PivoTrim. We named it PivoTrim. It pivots, and so you can run it up against a chain link fence, behind the water meter, along the fence line, along the concrete, line won't break. And it'll outlast a tank of gas almost every time. So I saw him with this product in his booth, and I saw the opportunity. I was like, that's what I'm looking for. And I said, do you have patents on this? He goes, well, I filed for patents, but they're not issued yet. So I actually invited him back the next week. Or two weeks later, I had a big booth, and I needed an extra space. I was like, I'll give you this spot. You be by next to me, and then maybe we can work out a deal. So he came back from New Orleans to Houston for the next show. And I'll never forget, it was Friday afternoon, and I'm supposed to be at work. But, I'm kind of pushing the envelope a little bit. And again, I always did my work. In fact, more than anyone else around there did. The corporate America, at least for the lecture company, was very much wasn't a glass ceiling, there was an actual concrete ceiling. You could see it. Like you're going no higher than this, unless you know somebody who's been here this amount of time. And so it didn't matter, like there was no pay for performance. It was very frustrating for me. So I had the side hustle going, and I see this. So I'm there at the show on a Friday afternoon. Show opens at 2 o'clock, and the first person to walk in the door is my boss with a camera. Somebody had tipped him off that I'm out there side hustling, and they're jealous. So he walks in with a camera, takes a picture of me, and I'm like, he goes, I've seen everything I need to see. He turned around and walked out. I looked at Orlando, who invented this, and I was like, man, I think I just got fired. He goes, we better make a deal, huh? So, so he had a little more negotiating power at that point. But long story short, Monday comes around, they tried to keep me at the company, but over the weekend, my wife and I sat down, talked about it, prayed about it, and we figured out this is something we do want to do. Like, we're ready. We've been training, this is a good product, we can demonstrate it, this is a real need for people, and it feels like now's the time. Only problem is now she just had our third kid. So now I have 3 kids, and if we leave, I'm leaving health insurance, leaving my pension, that 401k I'm talking about earlier, all that stuff staying behind. Big risk, right? I would say to you that the biggest risk I could have taken is to not take the opportunity. Because I would be right there today, I guarantee, and not where I am. And so that's the big deal here, is that we said, no, we're gonna go for this thing. I mortgaged, cashed in my pension, my 401k, well, I took a loan against 401k. Washington Mutual was giving out $50,000 signature loans back in the day. So you could just walk down and, yeah, that's how much money I make, they give you 50 grand. Dad did that too. We paid the inventor $70,000 up front because that's how much we believe in this idea. Even though the patents weren't even issued, just pending, right? But we knew the product was good. And so we set up a little shop, started going to shows. At one of our very first shows, and that's us here, that's my dad right there, side by side. Headed to a trade show, setting up at probably Oracle or Ace Hardware or something like that show. And we would go sell our wares. And one of our early shows we got, the Walmart buyer walked up, loved the product, and said, hey, we're gonna put you in all stores. That was the big break for us, right? We were making them here domestically. At that point, we had to go to China. We were like, how do you do that? I don't even know. Like, we started asking around. I had a friend that knew somebody in China. Next thing you know, we get a quote. They were costing me like $450 to make domestically. They gave me a quote for $1.75. I was like, that's amazing. Like, great. And they can order, unlimited quantity. Awesome. So we start sourcing products overseas. Every time I do this, I'm doing something I've never done before. And that's the common theme, right, in entrepreneurship, is you're doing something you've never done, but you do it anyway. You just figure it out. And now, I did this before where we had YouTube or the internet really to search very effectively. So, but we got into Walmart and started selling through. We get the attention of our competitors. They want to start working with us. And so we work out a deal, win-win. And it wasn't, I'm gonna go ahead and tell the story. So we're at a show, the Do It Best show in Orlando. And I'm there, it's us and then our competitors. A lot of people are very like like it's us versus them, right? And it was kind of like that at first. But then I was like, there's gotta be some common ground where we could possibly work together here. That night we go to dinner and we're standing in a long line for dinner, and we stood in line for 30 minutes to get a table. We're just about to get seated, and I see those guys get in line way in the back to go get their table. Choice, right? What you gonna do? Ha ha, suckers, or watch y'all come join me. Guys, y'all just come join us. So we had them come sit down with us. They're just great guys. Turns out we got a lifelong friendship now. We're still friends to this day. They ended up becoming our largest customer, helped us get into Home Depot, Lowe's, and a bunch of other national and international accounts. And then eventually, a few years later in 2011, they bought our company for over $6 million. All from that moment there where we said, let's work together. Let's find a win-win proposition. And so that was the journey of PivoTrim. That was my first sort of big hoorah. You think, oh, I'm gonna cash in for $6 million. And I only owned a small piece of the company by that point because we kept having to raise money. But I had been through the journey. I put products on TV, figured out how to sell stuff, buy in commercial time, how to source products in China, how to package things, how to name things, how to market things. Like, man, that was fun. In fact, we both went home, Dad and I both went home, got bored real fast. Kind of missed each other. Man, what are we gonna do next? Start another business. So we start Tree Stake Solutions. Found another patent around a product that I'm passionate about. Right? I was passionate about the weed eater thing too. I didn't cover that, but my dad was always a cheapskate. He was always buying the cheapest freaking weed eater he could find that would barely start, and it would start finally, you get it running and get halfway down the fence and the line would break. I'd turn it off, go fight the thing. So I was passionate about that problem. I'm also passionate about trees. And I met a lady that had invented this product. She called it the safety stake at the time. But it's an underground way to anchor a tree in place. So if you think about trees, when you plant a tree, it's just a transplant, right? It's growing somewhere else. It might be in a pot, it might be in the ground somewhere. And when they go plant it and put it somewhere, it's transplanted, right? Just like you break a leg, you gotta reset it. And so what this product does is it anchors the root ball into the earth. And then just like a fishing pole, the tree can go wherever it wants. It's always gonna connect straight. There's no poles and wires above the ground. People to mow around, to run into. It looks nicer. So we've actually been still on this today, but it's now the standard here on campus. If you walk around Kyle Field, you'll see all the trees around Kyle Field. Look down, you'll see a little metal thing sticking up. That's our product. It's a standard at Texas Tech. It's been used on MGM Grand in Las Vegas, on and on and on. Lots of different cool places that they use this product. And it works. It works really, really well. And it's just finally starting to take off. But this type of industry, it's a commercial industry. And they do not change the way they do things very quickly. The flip side of that, there's always the positive side. Once they do change, you're in for a long time. It's not going to change anything else really quickly either. And so we've been in front of the architects and the contractors for long enough now that this product's starting to take off. Really excited about it. I actually just hired one of my best friends, fellow Aggie, childhood friend. He's a construction science major. He went to the corporate world and they burned him out. Like he was working 90 hours a week, essentially underpaid for what he was doing, did an amazing job working in the construction industry in Houston, and then finally just burned out and had enough. Decided he's gonna flip real estate. And he's been flipping real estate, downsized, living in a trailer now. Not just because he's trying to make purposeful decisions about his life and his health. His health was actually struggling because of the stress of working in this job. And so I knew that he would be great for this, but I didn't know if he's interested. So now we've set up a deal where he's running this company. Because I don't have time to run it with LoveHandle. So it's kind of just been floundering on its own, out of all honesty. But he's gonna take this over and run it and earn his way into equity of a company. No money, just time and effort. He's gonna earn his own ownership of this company, which is great. And I trust him to the moon. So this is new for me too, to hand the reins off to someone else. But I can't think of a better person to do it because he's an Aggie, he's a friend. And then, so this is our big one, right? LoveHandle. LoveHandle is, I started in 2012. And the way the story goes is that some of the people I worked with in my old business had, the guy I had sold the Yardworks Yard Art in the Ideal Gifts Company to, saw this product at a craft fair that he was at. And first he just wanted help making it in China. He brought it to Houston and took me out to dinner. We looked at it and he's like, can you help me make this? I'm like, yeah, I can help you make it. And he's like, you want one? I was like, nah, I don't really want one. I don't put stuff on my phone. He's like, well, just try it. Put it on your phone, try it. Okay, stuck it on my phone. The next morning, I'm laying there, holding my phone above my face on the couch, going, oh, that's pretty good. And I dropped my phone on my face, like I did yesterday, right? And I was like, okay. By Sunday morning, got it flipped around the back of my hand. I'm holding a drink, watching football, going, okay, this is pretty cool right here. Monday, this is the key. Monday, I was on a flight to meet the inventor. Because I was convinced that this was the product I was looking for. I knew that Tree Stakes was a good business. I knew this had the potential to be enormous. Because when you're launching a product, you're looking for a few things, right? First of all, you want market size. You want a lot of people to be able to sell to. How many people in this room have a cell phone? 100%. I've never been to a room that it wasn't 100% yet. Everybody has a cell phone, right? So that's a market for me. And then because we also make tablet grips, we got tablets, laptops, so on and on it goes. So okay, well there's the size of the market. Well, can it be demonstrated? Yeah, just stick it on and show people, hey, I gotta drop my phone. So it's demonstrable. Also a key important factor, especially if you look at Instagram these days, right? Scroll up, what do the ads look like? They're a short video, 5 seconds, 10 seconds, showing you this great product, push this button, buy now. That's the new infomercial, is on Instagram. But I didn't know all that back then. All I knew is that the product was good, it was gonna be simple to make, and that everybody's gonna want one. And it's an aftermarket product. Kind of made my way with aftermarket. I'm not trying to sell you the phone, I'm not trying to sell you the weed eater, I'm just trying to sell you something to make it better, that will be universal as possible. And for me, that's been the magic. So I licensed the patents from this guy. It took him about a week to hammer out a deal. But he knew he had a winner. It cost me $150,000 up front. Write a check. That just bought me a year. And then it was $100,000 a year to keep up and hang on to the thing. But since then, we've grown. We've had a lot of trouble out of the gates. We were first making products in China. And just like, I didn't tell you the story about the PivoTrim problem that we had in China, but with PivoTrim, I had to throw away $500,000 worth of product that they shipped to me with poor materials, and I had to ship to Lowe's for a launch, and we figured it out right when it hit the shelf. We had to recall everything off the shelf, throw it all away. Lowe's charges you every day for your not in stock. Every day, every time they have to touch it, including pulling it off, they charge you for that, and all the product. No refunds in China, it's not Walmart. Can't go to customer service and ask for a refund. $500,000 gone out the door. Same thing happened. Same thing happened here. Our first big order, my ego got caught up. I was like, hey, I know this is a great product. I'm gonna put it on TV. We're gonna sell a ton. And so I ordered $500,000 worth of this stuff because it's gonna blow up and it takes for so long to get stuff out of China. So I ordered it all in and we got it in and they cut corners on one thing, the glue. The glue that holds the elastic to the base. They used a cheaper glue because they could save, literally on the whole order, they saved like $500 on a $500,000 order. But it was cheaper, so they went with it. I had to push all that stuff in the dump too. Couldn't sell it. It was completely useless. Like it just fall apart, there was no way to repair it. And so out of the gates we had that issue. And people sued us because they said our brand name was too close to their name. We had all kinds of trouble out the gate. But perseverance is one of the attributes of a successful entrepreneur. Being able to push through challenges, big challenges, and believe in yourself and believe in what you're doing in spite of everything else. There's been a lot of times along the way that maybe somebody else would have quit, would have walked away, said, I'm done. This is obviously a sign that I'm not supposed to be doing this. But the reality is, if you never give up, you are guaranteed success. Might not look like the way you think. In the end, you might have to tick and tack and move, but if you never ever give up, you're a guaranteed success. That's a fact. So here we are today. We have 32 full-time employees and 2 brands. Here's a little marketing tip for you. Think about batteries. What are the top 2 brands of batteries?
Duracell,
Energizer, Duracell, right? Coke, Pepsi, on and on. Nike, Reebok. Most categories have 2 major players and then kind of everybody else. So if you launch a product that's going to be a pioneer, it's going to set the market, launch 2 of them. One can be your premium. So we sell LoveHandle at Academy. We sell, this is the one that you see celebrities endorsing and things like that. But Sling Grip we use in the promotional market. It's the same product. We use in the promotional market because they are structured differently. They're middlemen. It's this guy that sells to promo swag to Texas A&M, right? But if he's selling LoveHandle, what's Texas A&M gonna do? You're gonna Google LoveHandle, you're gonna find me, order from me. But this way I can protect him, right? So hey, go pitch my product. You Google Sling Grip, you won't find me. No phone number, no email, no nothing, right? And I can't take credit for foreseeing all that stuff, but it's worked out to be great. So essentially, I have my own knockoff. And Daymond, who's my partner, respects me more for that than anything else because he's famous for FUBU, right? He has a FUBU clothing line, $1 billion brand. Would have been way bigger if he had his own knockoff because what happened, he's in Macy's, Nordstrom's, like wherever he's at, high end. Well, then there was like the FUBU knockoffs that went to Walmart and Dollar Store, wherever else they went. And he wasn't making that stuff. And he could have been making that stuff, but he too much ego tied up in his brain to not see the opportunity to have his own knockoff. And so it was funny, I was in his offices in New York And his team showed me a picture of a sling grip booth. He's like, hey man, somebody's knocking you off already. It's like, oh really? Looked at the picture, I was like, zoom in a little bit, zoom in a little bit. It's like, who's that guy? Man, that's you. Like, what are you doing? I was like, I got my own knockoff. He's like, oh man, you're good. You know, like one of the crowning moments for me to actually impress the shark from Shark Tank that much. But so that's why we have 2 brands, and a little tip for you there. So that's a little bit about me, a little long-winded about me, but it's been quite the journey to get to where we're at today. And I have big plans. I feel like I'm just getting started, really. The LoveHandle thing is going to be big. I've got plans. We did $6 million last year. I want to do $25 million this year. I want to do $100 million the next year and $200 million the following year. And I believe I'll do it. I want a valuation over $1 billion for our company. I think I can do it. Our number 1 competitor, Pop Sockets, has a $1.2 billion valuation today. They're going public on the stock exchange. We're number 2. Why can't I be bigger? Because we have a better product than they do. So that's my plans going forward. I want my name to also be synonymous with entrepreneurship, taking chances, inspiring youth, you guys to take chances and to be the Americans of tomorrow that are going to differentiate and continue. Because I believe America, really, that's the one differentiator, is the belief in that you can accomplish anything you set your mind to. And I think it's really important that we plant these seeds in you guys now, that you don't have to follow the traditional path to go to school, get a good job, work till you're 70, and then have fun. That's fine for people that want to do that, but you don't have to do that. You can chart your own path, and I'm living proof. So, that said, why would you want to be an entrepreneur? Let's explore. What the heck is an entrepreneur? That's a big, long word. And it's trending now. Like, nobody really knew it. 20 years ago, it wasn't really a thing as much. But now, it's cool to be an entrepreneur, right? According to, what is this, Source.com, it's a person who organizes and manages any enterprise, especially a business, usually with considerable initiative and risk. 2 key words here, initiative and risk. Not everybody's gonna understand what you're doing. If you try to do this, they're gonna look at you like you're crazy. They're gonna tell you you're crazy. I was listening to a book that's also in a required reading on the way up here, Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. And the first guy, I forget his name, that was the first one to transmit radio signals over the air. His friends literally, he said, look, I figured out how to move signals through the ether to another place. And they're like, okay. They had him committed. Like they went and got the doctors and they brought him in and have him examined and committed. They eventually released him. But you gotta be prepared for that. You gotta take initiative and risk and risk ridicule and things like that if you're gonna be a pioneer. I mean, we'll talk about other ones later, but the other piece of this is that you're organizing and managing. Think of yourself like the conductor of an orchestra. The conductor of the orchestra doesn't really have to be a great violinist or percussionist or anything else. They're the ones that bring everything together, and under their direction they make great music. That's the shallow and wide theory, right? They know enough about everything else to put it together. And they bring together the smarter people, the better people around them in key positions, and they coordinate it and organize it. And that's essentially me. I mean, I have people that do everything. I have an executive assistant, I have graphic artists, I have people that do assembly work, packaging work, and they're all better at their jobs than I would be, probably, in most cases. But that's sort of the definition. But why would you want to be an entrepreneur? What's possible? Could you go from hustling in a little tiny office with a spray painted sign of your vision for your company to the richest person on the planet? Yes, you can. Because Jeff Bezos did it. Jeff Bezos did it, why can't you do it? Because you can. You can be that guy. Now, whether you want to be that guy or don't want to be that guy, that's up to you. But he did not start to try to take down Walmart and Target and everyone else. He started to have the best bookstore. He wanted to have the best online bookstore with the best selection and the easiest purchase, because books are easy and they're a known quantity and they're hard to find and physically challenging. So he's like, it makes sense, right? I just want to have an online bookstore. But then when he got into online books, he was like, oh, You sell other stuff too, magazines, and next thing you know, it's A to Z. They got everything, and because he was willing to tick and tack along the way, richest man on the planet, right? That's why you want to be an entrepreneur, because you have limitless possibilities. You have control of your life. You can design your own lifestyle. You want to fly corporate jets around and, you know, cruise the Mediterranean in a yacht, or do you want to give it all away and make a real impact on AIDS research or whatever it is that you want to do? You have to have resources to be able to do that. And so entrepreneurship is a very valid vehicle to get you there. How you go about it, that's going to be up to you. But you can design your own lifestyle, experience things more richly, make more money, of course, which does not bring happiness, but it don't hurt either, I promise. And possibly change the world. Because the fact is, working a 9-to-5 job, buying a home, saving in a 401k will no longer make you rich. You can be upper middle class, but it's real hard to work for someone else and save and buy a home and just put money in your 401k and really get ahead. It just is. That's just math. So, what to expect? Okay, I want to be an entrepreneur. I want to do this thing. I want to go for it. What do I expect? Like, how do I get started? What do I do? What am I going to need? And what do I got to watch out for? Let's take a look at those things. So this is what you can expect when you become an entrepreneur. A whole lot of uncertainty. Just get comfortable with that, right? I was even uncertain before I came up here. I've done this before, right? You have to be comfortable with uncertainty. You have to be comfortable with failure more than anything. You know, there's a story where I think it was Robert Kiyosaki and Dave Ramsey were having an argument about money. You don't know who those guys are. They're both kind of known in that world about saving, doing, aspiring. And I think Dave Ramsey said, why would you want to, talking to Kiyosaki says, why would you want to tell people to start a business? If 9 out of 10 businesses fail, then that's crazy. Why would you tell somebody to do something they have a 90% chance of failure? And Kiyosaki said, well, then they just need to plan to fail 9 times. Because that 10th time that they are successful will be worth all the failure. And they probably won't fail 9 times in a row, because the first time they're going to learn, and they're going to get back up, and they're going to be more likely to succeed the second. And if they fail again, well, now they're even more likely to find their way and navigate their way through. And so it's an invalid argument to say that, yeah, 9 out of 10 businesses fail. Fine. Just plan to keep going until you succeed. That's the important part. And learn along the way. It's a lot like you're running the 400-meter hurdles, right? You're going to run into stuff along the way and fall down. The difference is, as Barbara Cochran told me when I met her, it's about the time between the time you fall down and the time you get back up. The people that sit around and grovel and say, poor me, this was just not for me, this wasn't meant to be, those are the people that are going to stay in the failure column. The people that get back up and say, oh man, I just got knocked out. I'm going to back up, I'm back at it again, right? I'm going to learn from my failure. Be used to discomfort. You think that it was comfortable for me working all week and then working all weekend and then going back and working all week? No. But I knew where I was going. I knew I had a vision for something bigger. I wanted more out of my life, and I knew I was going to have to put the hours in to do it. And if I sat there and did what everybody else is doing, I'm going to get what everybody else has. It's just that simple. You're going to feel inadequate. It's like those TV commercials, right? Feeling of inadequacy today? Take this pill. No, it's really like that. Like, you're going to have self-doubt, and it's normal. But you're also going to get excited because you're going to get some wins along the way. And you're going to start feeling like maybe you're moving in the right direction, but then you're going to have more failure. And then you're going to be constantly learning as you go through it, hustling, grinding, and then eventually victory and freedom. Robert Kiyosaki, author of Rich Dad, Poor Dad, has a board game I encourage you to get. It's called Cash Flow. Now, I play it with my kids all the time. And it's pretty cool because what it'll do for you is it takes you from your traditional, it takes you from, like you get a job, right, to start. Say, okay, I'm a lawyer, and somebody else might be a janitor. You've got to run your balance sheet. Say, okay, every month I get this amount of income and I have these amount of expenses. But then along the way, you'll have opportunities to buy something, or like you might be able to buy a boat, right? Or you can buy a rent house. And you look at the rent house and say, okay, well, this rental house over here costs me this much, and this will be my ROI, my cap rate. And you buy it, you take your money, you buy this rental house, and then the next thing you see, you've got this passive income that's coming in every month, along with your paycheck. And then eventually the goal is to get your passive income, mailbox money, if you will, that comes in no matter whether you show up to work or not, above your expense column. Because at that point, you got freedom. You don't got to work anymore, because you got mailbox money to cover all your bills. Now, a lot of times being the janitor was actually a benefit because your bills were lower. Like the lawyer had really high expenses. You live in a big house and all that stuff. It's a good lesson, and he talks about is getting out of the rat race. And so the flip side of that, and I told you about saving when you get out, you get that job. And I do encourage you to go out, get a job, like start making money, because you're going to need the money, get some experiences, but choose the job based on the experience, not the money. Okay, you want to be learning. But what he talks about is getting out of the rat race. And the rat race is defined by being a slave to debt. Now that might be, like I made the mistake. As soon as I got my offer letter from Centerpoint, I took that literally down to the Ford dealership, or Dodge dealership, showed it to the sales manager, and he said, all right, look at it, you're approved for a loan. Gave me a brand new truck, man. Woo! Took me 10 years to pay off that truck. Same thing with my student loans. Paying $431 a month for 10 years. I paid that. Right? If you have debt, pay it down as quickly as you can. Sell the bushes. Like sell what you got to sell. Get rid of the debt, because the more free you can be from debt, the more flexibility you're going to have to move on opportunities and to invest and save for the future. So, really important.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome. Fact is, you are the only one who can create the life you want to live. No one else is going to do it for you. No one. Not your parents, not your spouse, not your friends. Only you can do it. And I'm here to tell you that you can do it. But you have to do it. What do I do, Mike? I want to do that. That sounds awesome. I want to hang out with Daymond John. I want to fly in private jets. I want to sail the Mediterranean and be retired when I'm 35. All those things are possible. They really are. This is what you need to do. Learn. Your learning is just beginning, and it will never end. It should never end. Life is a lifelong learning process. The fact that there's new information coming out. I mean, I don't know if they're teaching any classes here about how to build your brand on LinkedIn, but they should. Or how to market on Instagram. They should. And even if they don't, doesn't mean that you shouldn't be learning that stuff, because that's new and emerging opportunities. And there will be another one tomorrow. Like we have our brand on TikTok. I don't really know whether we're doing it right, but we're on there. We're getting sales from it. We're building a brand. One of our videos has 45,000 views. I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm just doing it, right? I'm just learning as we go. So keep learning, research, and explore new opportunities as they come. Be bold, be first into a new opportunity. First, it's better to be first and wrong than right and late. Review changing markets, kind of what I'm talking about, laws and trends. I got a bunch of friends that are making tons of money with online CBD products, right? Has a stigma associated with it, right? The fact is, the laws are changing, they're going to be changing, what does that mean? And that's across any industry, not just that. Focusing on markets that will be strong in 3 to 5 years is a key point. Don't invent a product or service or start your business for today, because businesses take a while to get off the ground. Every single one of mine was 3 years before I really had any cash flow at all. 5 is more reasonable. And if you start a business for today and the market moves past you, in 5 years you're going to find that you have a business that's out of date. So be sure that you're pointed towards the future and not towards now. Make sure it's a growing market. Strengthening, I think this is key. Strengthen your online digital marketing skills, whatever that looks like. You need to get on and learn how to create a Facebook ad, how to create an Instagram ad, how to create an effective video to sell anything, right? Try it out, do it, create an account, go on there, make a video, and try to sell anything that you can source, just to see if you can do it. It won't cost you much money. You might be amazed, you might actually start a little side business and be on the Aggie 100 2 years after you graduate here. Like, it can happen. Instagram advertising is working right now, so learn it. Experiment, take affordable steps. You don't have to raise $100,000 to go try Instagram marketing. You can do it with $100, $500, with some buddies, and whatever. Like, take affordable steps, keep moving in the right direction, work and save for future opportunities. If I hadn't had that money to invest in this one, right? If I hadn't put my 16% to the side and been hustling on the side every single weekend, it wouldn't have mattered if I found this opportunity, if I couldn't have written a check. I knew as a winner, I knew I had what it takes, but if I didn't have the money, opportunity might as well not even be there. So you're gonna have to save up some ammo for the war. Seek mentors and fellow goal-minded people. This is where a lot of people mess up. They're friends with their friends because they've always been friends with their friends. You need to choose your friends very wisely. And not just saying friends, but like, you can be friends with everybody, but who do you spend your time with? And are they bringing you up or are they bringing you down? Really think about it. Think about who your friends are. Are they aspiring to do great things? Are they trying to push and conquer and become more and become better? Do they have goals? Or are they perfectly happy to just coast? Because you're gonna get pulled up or down, depending on who you surround yourself with. So choose those people very wisely. And then take some risks, be willing to fail, learn, and repeat. That's the formula right there. Take a risk, fail, learn, repeat. Keep at it. And eventually the failure will drop out. You're gonna take a risk, learn, make money, repeat, and it'll go in the right direction. What you'll need, you're gonna need great daily habits. There's a book, it's on the reading list we'll talk about later, called The Miracle Morning. The way you start your day is gonna dictate how your day goes. So I start my day, I'm not 100%, I gotta be honest, I'm not perfect either, nobody's perfect. In the perfect world, I get up at 5 a.m., I exercise, I pray, I look over my goals, I'm writing about my objectives for the day, and I'm recommitting to myself that I'm gonna accomplish something and by the end of the day, I'm gonna be a better person in some way, every single day. And it doesn't have to be big jumps, or big changes, but little changes over time make big changes. Just keep it up, habits. We're very habitual creatures, very habitual, and you can hack your own habits. There's tons of books about this, but you can retrain yourself to be a better person. I mean, I think that's probably what they do here in the core, right? They get you in the habit of getting up and doing this and exercising. And next thing you know, that's part of who you are. It's harder to not do those things than to do it. So you just do it because it's part of who you are. Hack yourself to be a habitual person in a good way versus a bad way. Positive persistence. You just gotta be willing to charge through unknowing. And I was coming up with an analogy for this, and it's like, so let's say there's a dense forest we gotta get through. And there's two different ways to do it. One, is you can wait for the perfect shot. There's an enemy on the other side, right? You wait for the perfect shot. So you just wait for the fall, and all the leaves fall down. You take your sniper shot right through and take them out. But you don't have to wait a while, right? Or you could just grab your shotguns and start charging through. Most of your shots are gonna miss, but you're gonna be, time-wise, you're gonna get through there and get to the enemy sooner. That's essentially what you need, to be positive and persistent and just keep shooting, keep firing, keep pushing, and know that a lot of your shots are gonna miss, and you're gonna run into stuff, and you're gonna get beat up, but you can get there first. And that matters in this game as an entrepreneur. Have a humble attitude. And it might sound like it's opposite of what I've been talking about. You can have a humble attitude, but then also have a conquering mindset. It's about how you see other people, treat other people, how you approach things. People aspire to follow people with humble attitudes. If you're willing to humble yourself in front of others and be a servant leader, then your people are going to go to the moon for you, right? Because you're going to need other people along the way to do things for you. But you can't be domineering and full of ego. You have to be humble. You're going to need money, time, and health. So you need to take care of your body. Really important. What are you eating? Are you exercising? Are you taking care of? Because you need this in order for this to work well. You're going to need this to work well. And if you want to be around and enjoy all the fruits of your labor, you're going to need to be alive. You need to make sure that you're taking care of everything else. Health is a big deal. Having a great CPA and attorney, I can't overstate that enough. A great CPA is they're gonna save you more. It's an investment. Whatever you pay them, double it. Because they're gonna save you more money in taxes than you'll ever pay them, right? And that's one of the big advantages of being an entrepreneur. And they'll talk about that in Rich Dad, Poor Dad. But the poor middle class earn, pay taxes, and then spend. The rich, or entrepreneurs as well, earn, spend, and then pay taxes, right? Because a lot of the things that you would normally spend money on are now tax deductible. They're part of your business. Your vehicle, your trips, your retreats, your corporate retreats to Hawaii, whatever. There's a lot of very legal things that you can do, normal activities. You're going to earn, spend, and then pay taxes. If you have a good CPA, you can help you navigate that stuff too. But the tax system is set up for the rich, for the business owner, not for the employee. Excellent communication skills are paramount. You need to get comfortable in front of a camera. Everybody's carrying your own digital studio around with you in your pocket. It's never been this way before. Any of us can go live and broadcast to the world from here. 10 years ago, that was not possible. So you need to be a communicator, because that's how you're going to find your fans, your investors, your partners, and more than anything, you need to be building your personal brand. You are the product. You're an entrepreneur whether you know it or not. You're the brand. Your name, what you stand for, what people think about you, know about you, you're the brand. So be the brand and be willing to put yourself out there with great communication skills on video, then also in person. Just constantly be learning how to do that. There's another book, required reading, you'll see it, How to Win Friends and Influence People. It'll teach you how to do that. People like to hear their name. People like to be heard. People like ideas to be theirs. So why not let them hear their name? And then you hear their problems. And then next thing you know, you give a solution that they can go, oh, this is a great idea, let's do this. And you're like, oh yeah, that's what I came for. But I'm not gonna tell you that. That's kind of how sales goes, and that's great interpersonal communication skills. Be willing to change and adapt. So many of the inventors I meet, because inventors come to me constantly now. Constantly. Take my product. Go make it a household name. I'm like, you need to change this about your product, or you need to give it more features so that I can sell it to more people. They don't want to do it. No, it's perfect this way. Nah, it's too big, it's too heavy. You can make it lighter, smaller, faster. No, they want not willing to change, right? The world's changing. You better be adaptable. You better be able to move with it, and don't get stuck in any one spot. Who Moved My Cheese? It's not even on the list, but a great book too. If you sit there eating the same cheese over and over again, the cheese is gonna go away and you're gonna starve. You need to be out looking, exploring, finding new cheese. Drive to win and achieve goals. You need to have goals. You need to have them written down. You need to review them before you go to bed at night, every morning. Specific goals. I made a post on my Instagram yesterday. I want you all to follow me on Instagram. But I posted it, I think this morning. And it says that my very last goal on my goal list is to lay on my deathbed with the peace and comfort that I've done everything that I was supposed to do here on earth in my short time. It's that in perspective, that ultimate perspective. Now, looking back on now, and now it's like, okay, this whole party's gonna be over someday. How am I gonna feel about it? Am I gonna look back and say, I wasted all my time, I wasted all these opportunities, or I went for it? I tried to make my mark on the world. I did make my mark on the world. And in fact, because of the digital age, I'm gonna live on forever. There's all these videos of me. My great-grandchildren are gonna see who Mike Watts was one day. It's important to get that perspective about not just where you are today, but where you're going, where you're going to end up, and what you're going to stand for when you're going. Big, exciting, bold goals, really important. Most people, like in Grant Cardone's the 10X rule, also in required reading list. He says most people fail because they don't set the goals big enough. Because what happens, if I say, hey, I want to make $100 million, and you said, that's kind of ridiculous. Like, I just want $1 million. I'd be happy with $1 million. Well, your subconscious hears that, and your subconscious will start prompting you to do the actions to make $1 million. It's going to prompt me to take the actions to make $100 million. And whether I actually get to $100 million or not, I'm guaranteed I'm going to make more than the person that said $1 million. It's so powerful to set enormous goals for yourself, because you will train yourself, you'll create the habits in your life. Your subconscious can be trained to go after big, amazing things, but you have to tell it repeatedly that you are going there so it knows to point you in that direction. You got to be willing to outwork everybody else. You got to be especially early. You got to be willing to walk away from Netflix, walk away from the video games, walk away from the bar, and spend your time wisely now. You want to work now so you can play later and play bigger later, right? Now is your go time. You're going to sock up all that equity and learn and do the work and hustle and grind. And then when you're 40, 35, who knows, 28, I don't know. You can do whatever you want, and in bigger or better ways. And then maybe you got a family at that point. You're able to provide the type of education that you can only dream of, right? Maybe you homeschool your kids and private jet them around the world and have an international business degree. Who knows what's important to you, but you'll have that capacity if you're willing to invest now and working and outworking everyone else. And then this, in my opinion, is the most important. Is an unwavering belief in yourself. How many people in here believe they can be a billionaire? One in the back? Two? You're the only two that are possibly going to become billionaires because you believe it. You set your own limits. That's the mystical secret. You're setting your own limits right now in your mind of what's possible for you. So bust those out constantly and believe that you were perfectly made. That you were perfectly made for your path. And yeah, it might not go perfectly the way you think it's going to go, but you continue to believe in yourself. And you know what? When you put yourself on camera, that's going to come through. People are naturally attracted to people that believe in themselves and are confident in themselves. They're going to want to follow you. They're going to want to work with you. They're going to want to be around you if you're confident in yourself. Self-confidence is so important, and there's no reason not to be confident in yourself. The only reason you might not be confident in yourself 100% is because someone else has put some limitation on you, and they've said something to you or treated you a certain way, and because of that, you don't believe in yourself fully. You let someone else define you, who you are, and what you stand for, and what's possible with your life. Don't. You start now breaking those barriers down. Believe in yourself. You guys are perfect just the way you are. You go out and make your dreams happen. Bill Gates, I love this quote. I'm not competing with anyone but myself. My goal is to improve myself continuously. Right? I'm a big Peloton guy. I'm on the Peloton all the time. You guys know what that's the bike, right, with the screen? And that's the way I hack my fitness, because I know I'm super competitive at my core, naturally. So you show me a leaderboard, I'm going to be trying to win. But really, the one I'm up against now is myself, because it has my score. The last time I did a 20-minute ride, here's my score. Man, I'm good. Like I can barely catch myself, and every year that goes by, it's harder to catch myself than I was last year. But that's all I am trying to do. I'm just trying to be a better version of myself at the end of each day, right? And if you do that, you'll be amazed what happens. Here's a few quick enemies. An attitude of entitlement it'll ruin you. If you believe that because you graduated from A&M and you got a 4-year degree that you're entitled to anything, you are wrong. You're just wrong. You're not entitled to anything. You're entitled for whatever you work for going forward. It's fantastic that you have a degree. It's one of the greatest assets you can have, but that entitles you to nothing. Laziness, distractions, they'll slow you down. Just suck all your time. The only thing that every single one of us has in common with the billionaires of the world and everyone else is we all have the same amount of time every day. That's the only resource that no one else can make. So how you spend it will dictate the outcomes. If you have a need for instant gratification, if you need it now, all the time, I need it now, that's going to be a detriment. The benefit for you guys is that this is common. Both of these are very common these days in your age group. And so if you can break that cycle, you're going to be standing out so much better. It's actually a benefit to you that that's common if you can get away from it. Again, we talked about this already, wrong friends and influences. Debt we talked about, consumptive lifestyle, need it now, generally bad habits, and then again, the big one, self-doubt, right? These are your enemies. Believe in yourself, educate yourself, surround yourself with the right people, take bold action, and don't worry about failures. Worry about the chances that you're gonna miss when you don't even try. Push, dive in, run for the hills, whatever you wanna call it, just go for it. And it's one of those things that, it's opportunity cost, right? So many people miss out on the best that life has to offer because they were waiting for the perfect moment. There's no perfect moment. There's only just trying now and learning. It's a process. It's very simple. Just keep going. Here's your required reading list. How to Think and Grow Rich. We talked about this, written in the 1930s. Guy's 20-year work, commissioned by Dale Carnegie. Amazing book. Amazing book. Kind of deep, but it's good. Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Maybe even start here with Rich Dad, Poor Dad. How to Win Friends and Influence People. My dad bought me that book when I was 12 years old. Best things I ever read. 4-Hour Work Week is a great hack book. We said that one towards the end. Miracle Morning, that's how you start your day. Rise and Grind, my buddy Daymond wrote that. It's a great book. He also wrote Power of Broke, which is also good because it tells you that you don't really need a bunch of money to make it. You can be very resourceful with a little bit of money. And then the 10X rule for setting really big goals. So these will get you pointed in the right direction. Audiobooks are a great way. If you work out and listen to these, you'd be amazed just what that little simple thing will do for you. Here's some podcasts I really love. If you're into entrepreneurship at all, Masters of Scale, one of the best produced podcasts out there. It's hosted by, I know his name. He's the founder of LinkedIn. Amazing. They have some big, successful guests on there that started brands that we all know, and they give you the backstory about how it all really happened. Kind of similar on how I built this. Gary Vee. Both of these guys are a little rough around the edges, but they're very good. You know, like hoorah, go get them kind of guys. EntreLeadership is great, and then social media marketing. There's a podcast out there called Social Media Marketing by Mike Stelzner, and this is cutting edge stuff on how to use all these platforms wisely. They bring on the experts. It's like taking a class on how to be a social media expert for free. So why would you want to do that? You'll become an expert in LinkedIn and everything else out there if you want to be. There's a lot of different choices. How to make videos, how to do a podcast, how to do all these things. So that's a great one too. I encourage you to take advantage of LinkedIn now. Probably your competition outside the doors here is not really using it. Establish yourself as an authority. You will make more money in the short term because I guarantee you that employers are going to be looking at your LinkedIn profile. And if they look at you as this is not just a resume place, but this is a place that I'm creating content. It can be anything. Just say I'm an expert in whatever and start making videos. Post one video a week on just video. It could be a minute long, 2 minutes long. It doesn't even have to be that fancy, but you'd be amazed that you'll start getting notifications that you're trending in LinkedIn. It's not that hard to do, and people will pay you for that. You need to start building your brand today on LinkedIn. It's really, really important. So that said, this is how to connect with me. At me, hit me on Instagram. I answer questions. Any questions you got, whatever you want to do, I'm available. I really genuinely want to help others lift them up, inspire them, do what I can. Find me on LinkedIn as well. That's my email address. If you ever want to come down to Houston and tour our little factory, or want to come work with us or whatever, then reach out to me. I'm here to help. So that's the end. Go conquer your dreams and get them.
We have time for a few questions if you would like to. Does anybody have any questions?
Yeah.
So the deal about picking mentors is a big topic here lately. I know Gary Vee, which not Gary Vee, Todd Lopez, which is a lot. Do you have any recommendations on how to go about picking a good mentor? Like how to explain to them, like, hey, I want to learn business from you. Would you be able to teach me anything?
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people. I'm sure you probably get a lot of people asking you for help, but you want to filter through who's actually being serious here and who's just trying to waste my time.
Right.
Is there any good ways of going about it, like convincing them, oh, I'm the real deal, I'm not here to waste your time, I want to learn from you?
It's a great question around mentor. And first of all, you need to pick the mentor that's aligned with what you're passionate about, right? So you don't want to just pick one in real estate just because maybe you want to do real. I mean, there needs to be something that you're pointing in a purposeful direction. And go big, like go for the biggest one you can get. But it's best if you can get somebody face to face, so someone geographically in your area. But show up and ask for nothing. Show up and say, what can I do to help today? I'm just here to learn. Is there any, do you need to clean toilets? Do you need to sweep in the back? Like, I want to learn from you, but I want to first show you that I'm willing to work and I want to bring value to you. And you be that's that humbleness we talked about. You show up and you do that for people, they're gonna pay you. I mean, at some point, but whether they do or not really doesn't matter, because they're just, it's a natural. Daymond talks about this all the time. It's a value exchange, and so if as people become celebrities or powerful or good mentors or whatever, people are always after their time. But if you can just show up and then add value back to them, help them get back some of their time, well, now they're going to naturally want to reciprocate and they're going to want to help you. But if the first thing they hear out of your mouth is, hey, I need you to help me. I've heard Daymond tell us, I mean, you walk around New York with him, he's getting hammered all the time. Like, hey, man, I got this idea I want to show you. And he's like, why do I want to give you my time? But people that walk up and say, hey, I put this together for you. It's a gift package and it's here. And my information, I don't want to take any of your time, and just take it. Like, those are the people that'll call back. Right? So you just got to understand that you got to give before you get. Does that answer your question? Good. Anybody else? Yeah.
So did you see like a big return on your investment with a lot of these companies that you first started out with? Because I know with the yard signs and stuff like that, you said that like, for example, like Philadelphia, where you're buying the booth, but you're selling products for someone else to go sell.
Mm-hmm.
How did that kind of work? And like, did you see a lot of return on your investments? Because if you're paying for the booth, that's a cost to you, and then but you're selling products to someone else for them to sell. Are you getting a percentage of their sales, or are they just getting it in the packages you sell for them to sell?
Right.
Did that pay for the booth? I mean, did you see like a big return on your investment? Because I felt like there's a lot of investment of your time if you weren't seeing like a big kind of like profit.
So the typical show, once that business was up and running, they would do about $5,000, $4,000 to $5,000 in sales over a weekend, 3-day weekend, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Out of that, typically 1,000 is going to go to the booth. 1,000 will be the actual cost of goods. They would get 1,000, and I would get the rest. So I'm making $1,000 to $2,000 and not having to be there. Now, the expense to me was the risk of giving my credit card to the show company and letting them run it for the booth months in advance. So my cash is tied up. Having to buy all this product in advance, ship it to them, hopefully they were going to sell it. So I'm carrying some risk, but I also got the reward. So there's always risk with reward, but the more different shows we were doing, I found out that my profits actually averaged out. So I would have a good show here and a bad show here and a good show and a bad show. But in the end, I wouldn't make money. When I had multiple shows going, I might make $10,000 in a weekend, which was a big deal because my salary was only like $50 at that point. So making 20% of my annual salary in one weekend, only because I had scaled this thing up. And these people were elated. They were making $1,000 on a weekend too. Like, for just showing up. They weren't out any money. They just showed up and they just traded their time. So it's a win-win for everyone. And ultimately, that's what you're after, is win-win propositions. Because if everybody wins and everybody's happy and everybody's motivated, it's when it gets flopsided, right? That somebody's getting taken advantage of, that things are going to naturally degrade. So yeah, there was profit there. There was no big exit. I sold the company for like $10,000 for both the wooden airplane and the yard art company, which was just basically my account that was at a certain price point, and all my wholesale accounts, and then all the show. So just the momentum and the brand. That's what I got. Yeah.
I've got a couple questions about your decision-making process on how you find a product, how you decide that a market is worth going into, and the resources you use to kind of analyze that. And then once you do find success, how do you decide that that's not where you want to stay and that you can do better and move?
Talking about a product specifically?
The first was mostly about product and how you decide that it's worth getting in,
Right.
Into that market. And then once you do find success, how do you decide that, how do you not stay where it's safe and know that I should move on now, this has kind of been cash?
Right. So first off, you don't ever really know. And we talked a little bit about this, but you need the big market, the biggest possible. Though the flip side of that is that now with digital marketing and the ability to laser focus marketing, I can actually launch like a firefighter product, because I can put it only in front of firefighters. Or before, there was no good way to get it, like TV, magazines, whatever. You're wasting a bunch of ad dollars on the wrong people. So now you can, I think it's opened up more niche products to be viable. But that said, for me, I'm trying to find something that's going to start generating cash really fast, like something I can sell today. So typically what I'll do is I'll just try to sell them. Like when I tell people, like, you got an idea for something, you can make a prototype, and then they'll come to me and say, hey, like, will you license this? I was like, well, how many have you sold? They're like, well, I haven't sold any. I was like, well, why not? Have you tried to pre-sell some? No, they haven't even tried to sell anything yet. And it's like, you need to go do that before I even talk to you. And so what you can do is actually go create an ad and a landing page for a product that you don't actually have. And you have no intention of shipping it. You just want to test the market and see. That's ultimately what it comes down to. Are people going to put their credit card number in here or not and buy this? And so you put it out there, and then put $100 or $500 in ads behind it and see, are people going to buy it or not? And then cancel all the orders and say, hey, we're sorry, we're stocked out, we're going to get back to you. But at least now you've got an indicator of whether it's worth putting any money in at all or not. It's like getting a free preview if there's a market. But then after that, once you have built up a business that's generating cash, and you have retailers, for example, that's my experience, is with brick and mortar retailers for the most part. Once you have a product that they're making money on, you better be ready, because they're going to come back and say, what else you got? Like, so for me, with the LoveHandle now, we just launched into Walmart, Academy, a bunch of stores. It's selling through. We're just like this week, we're really starting to see that it's moving, which is great. Like, that's the big indicator. Not only did they order it, but it's actually selling, they're having to reorder. That's great. The next time I see them, they're going to be like, what do you have next? So I have a line of products, stick on wallets, little kickstand, all kind of different stuff that I have queued up in the back. But they're going to take anything I want, anything I have, because now I have a winning brand, and they want more of that. And so that's sort of when you do scale it up, but you have to be careful along the way that you don't get distracted. You can't chase the shiny object or the squirrels, because you have to stay the course. A lot on the way up, I've been burned. Like, I got into the little backup batteries for a little while. I still got some of those sitting on the shelf at work because it's a commodity business. Everybody had them. I got distracted. You have to stay focused on what you're doing and be just great at that one thing. And then once you do it, like Yeti, they're a great example. Like, they made the best ice chest on the planet, and they grew that. And then once they were known to be the best ice chest maker on the planet, all of a sudden they're like, we want everything Yeti. So then they made the cups. right? And then they made the zipper bag and the everything else and the clothing line because of one product that pioneered them, built a brand, and then they branched out. So that's a very, strategically, that's a good way to go about it. I don't know that.
So find success and then branch off of that.
Yeah. But try to find your best avenue of success and just stay focused on that one piece until it works. And then branch out. Don't just try to, I know I've talked about the shotgun, but that's not really what I'm saying. I'm saying about if you have a great product or a great service or whatever, beat the same drum. People are very distractible, and they don't care about your brand or your product unless it's going to help them. And that's the other thing, when you're selling products, don't sell features of products. Like, I still fall in this trap. I'm like, oh, it's phone grip, it's low profile, and it's ergonomically designed. No, sell the hole, not the shovel. Sell the effect of the product. Slips easily in your pocket, super comfortable for your daily activity. Like, how does it affect your life? Not, it's engineered to be awesome. No, it's really important. Hope that helps.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Yes, sir.
It was a similar question, but so like all the different businesses that you started, you had a bunch of different products. How many of those kind of fell into your lap and just all of a sudden you realized, hey, this is a great idea? And how many did you have to like actively seek out an idea and be like, go find somebody that had the idea?
So, I guess in some way you could say they all fell in my lap, but at the same time, I wasn't the first lap they fell in. Right? I wasn't the first person to see any of these products. In fact, I could have been the 100th or the 1000th person to see it. I was the first person to do something about it. That's the difference. That's ultimately the difference in all this stuff. Is action. You know, in fact, Johnny that invented this, we've already met tons of people that invented it before him. We've met them because they'll come to the show and they'll show me their drawings that they had from 2 years prior for him filing patents. They're like, yeah, but I didn't do anything about it. Action is the only thing that speaks. You have to do something. And if you find something good, you gotta just push with it. Try it. Might fail, might not. Might be $1 million idea. So, every single one of those, it's like silver on the sidewalk. You're walking down the sidewalk, there's little silver coins around. Most people are looking here or here, right? They're not looking down for the silver. It's there. You just gotta be trained to find it. And as you go through the process and learn and make yourself better, and you start actively looking for opportunities, then read all those books. I'm telling you, really do read those books or listen to those books. You'll start to understand what I'm saying, that the same guy, me or you, might go look at real estate all day long in College Station. And one guy's gonna say, hey, there's nothing here. Everything's all like overpriced or whatever. And then somebody else will have found some creative way to turn this 4-plex into an 8-plex and double the value by creatively approaching it, right? It's very much that. It's like very ambiguous, but you just have to have the right mindset to see an opportunity or create an opportunity where there wasn't one. Yes?
When you left school and you started on that, did you like expand your financial education in any way, or did you just acquire like advisors to help you?
When I left school or when I left the job?
Well, when you started off in your
Oh, and saving?
yeah, well, in general, so like obviously there's a lot of financial aspects of big companies that are just beyond our education, especially in GSM and beyond even a business minor.
Sure.
So is there anything that you did to do more before school, like the classes online, and like, or did you just reach out to other people that were like financial advisors?
Yeah, so at Centerpoint, I'm gonna talk about that one for a minute, but the 401k there, it was, you could choose like among 7 different like mutual funds or the company stock. So what I essentially did is creating company stock. So I would move, keep my money like in one of the markets, a money market or growth fund or whatever. But the problem with those is they're only gonna do, they're gonna do this. Like but the company stock is gonna have more sharp moves, right? So I would wait. I made the most money on one day. I remember Enron. Ever know about Enron? Right. So the day Enron happened, I had all my money, not in the company stock. I had it in one of the mutual funds, waiting for an opportunity. And sure enough, our stock went down 70% that day, or that week. I moved all of my money into our stock because I knew that we weren't in on it. We were just getting associative, shame in the marketplace, and everybody was scared of the Houston energy market, and they all ran for the hills. It literally doubled the next week. So I took my portfolio and flipped it for double, and then it went up another 40% before I pulled some back out. So, no, I didn't. But I did. I read everything about our company. I knew everything about our company stock. I was an insider trader in the legal sense, right? I didn't have the information that no one else had, but I had every bit of information there was about my stock. And so I knew that it was foundationally sound, and it was still a risk to push all that in there at one time, but it worked out. And I look back, and it was a very good thing to do. So no, I did not have a financial advisor. I think it's not a bad thing, but you got to understand a lot. 95% of those guys are salesmen. They're trying to sell you something. They're going to sell you this product that's safe, or they sell you this product that they're going to make more commission on. You're better off just either use the company savings plan because they're going to match it, or just go get you an E-Trade account or something and just do your own thing. No load stocks. Get away from all the bureaucracy and sort of counter incentives that they have. Maybe that helps. Yeah. Are we good? Yes.
Would you mind going back to the slide about the booklets?
And all these are on audiobook. I think audiobooks are a great way to consume. Yes.
So I know you spend you put in a lot of time and a lot of your work and effort, but you have 3 kids and you don't want to miss out on their lives. So what is your recommendation with, I guess, having a family and still being there, but still putting enough time where you can make these new achievements and new goals?
Right. That's a great question. Work-life balance it's one of those real challenges for an entrepreneur. And that's why part of the reason I say do the work now. Don't go to the bar, don't hang out playing video games, do something now, because you don't have kids, probably. And I'll let you know about it. But do it now so that you can enjoy it later. That said, along the way, I think we've been able to meld our kids. We haven't done it perfectly, but we've been able to create a unique, we homeschool our kids, and they've traveled to these shows with us and experienced a type of education that they would never have gotten. But that said, you do have to not work too late. And I'm talking to myself too. I'm a workaholic, and I'll go to work at 7 a.m. and then work till 9 o'clock at night. No problem. Doesn't bother me at all. But I've tried to start coming home at 5:30, 6 at the latest, and just try to be there, be present. And as long as you start your day right and say the most important things I have to get done, I'm going to get done before noon. When your energy level is higher anyway, if you work out in the morning and you go to work between 9 and 11, 9 and 12, you need to do all your really important stuff. Same thing with your schoolwork. You can make yourself do that. And then after that, everything else is great. It's other stuff. So it's a constant challenge, but you ultimately have to keep the first things first. And if you have your goals done right, spending time with, providing the right type of life for your family will be integral into those goals. And so you'll find ways to bring them together and make them coexist, make it a win-win internally too. All right, guys.
They don't stay this late for me.
No.
So, Mike, I've got a certificate here for you. It says the Brock Faulkner Entrepreneurship and Agricultural Systems Lecture Series recognizes Mike Watts with LoveHandle.com as Professor for a Day. The subject, Why Would I Want to Be an Entrepreneur, on February 20th, 2020. We really appreciate you coming and talking.
Thank you for having me. It's been an honor. And I brought, I got a bunch of Aggie ones. I stole them. My production video's gonna be mad, but I don't care because my guy for me. So I got a bunch of Aggie ones. And these are some tablet grips. They're actually good for your laptop too. So if you carry a laptop around, you're gonna do like I do mine. A little demo here. Just put it on the bottom like this, and you're carrying your laptop around like that, you'll never drop it. So we got some of those. And don't take my PivoTrim and don't take my brain sword, but you can grab a few of those to take back. Always like to give gifts. It's fun for me. So thanks for your attention. Hope you enjoyed it. Be sure to connect with me on Instagram and LinkedIn. Oh, I got some business cards too.
It's great to hear you.
Yeah,
I think I'm gonna take care of it.
Oh, right on, cool.
Nice to meet you, Blake.
Yeah, Mike, buddy. Hey, who else going to dinner? Go.
There's 2 Blakes going.
Yeah, I can play. All right, that'll make it easy. Who else?
Yeah. Okay, so that's good.